the last one for session 2, so
Yeah.
pretty
I'll put my
emotional,
camera
but
off so you can't see me crying, right? I'll,
we'll
I'll sob quietly.
we'll we'll talk about PCF on portals today, but I want to do a broader session, cover a little bit about PCF, what it is, and tools and training available, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll talk about PCF on portals. So let me share my slide deck, and then we'll get moving. Man, I don't like the way. Okay, found myself here. Already. I hope you all can see my screen. All right. Again, this is lesson 12 of the Zero to Hero session 2 mentorship program. We started back in April and we had about 12 lessons. So it feels like it wasn't long enough. About myself, I am a Microsoft MVP, a 365 Saturday ambassador, Power Platform consultant for a few years now, but I come from a developer background, a pro dev background, doing code. When I started was Visual Studio 3 back in the day. I just started young though. It's not that I am that old. I just started young. And here's my email if you need to contact me and the QR code for other contact information. For this session, though, we brought a lot of special people, a lot of friends collaborated and presented on awesome themes, and they discuss really amazing topics. And most importantly, the way that they do their own thing, which for me it's valuable information. I mean, we get really used to presenting or doing code a certain way, and then somebody comes to the show, if you will, and show the tools that they use, and it's just amazing. It makes everybody's life really easier. All right, so I want to thank Jim Novak, Ulrich Ackerbach, Art Vestava, Franco Musso, and Alexander for donating their time in favor of the community. And I also want to thank everybody who has been in at least one or more lessons and has posed questions and comments and also gave us tips in how to do portals development better. So thank you so much for your collaboration. Today, we're going to talk about PCF on portals, but the first initial topics on the discussion are around, what is PCF, an overview of the framework, tools, training, books available, and then finally PCF on portals. So I will be referring to information that's publicly available on Microsoft's website and some other resources that have published before. And if for some reason I forgot to quote to you and refer to your name, please forgive me. It's probably a mistake more than me trying to take possession of your knowledge and pretend that it's mine. It's not. Okay. What is PCF? So PCF is a short for PowerApps Component Framework and empowers professional developers and app makers, aka citizen developers, to create components for model-driven and Canvas apps. Now, this is the Microsoft copy text, and I'll take the liberty to say that PCF is also available on portals, which is the subject of this lesson today. So components for model-driven Canvas apps and portals applications. These components can be used to enhance the user experience while working with data on forms, views, dashboards, Canvas app screens. So, for example, instead of having a tax input field for currency value, you can use a slider, or you can use another component that's more visual friendly to your end users. You can also take a set of data and present as a calendar, as a map, or in any other form that a data set can be presented. So in short, that's what PCF exists for. Now, this PCF framework is something relatively new for some of the developers out there in the Dynamics and Power Platform. But this is a framework that Microsoft has used for quite some time to develop the components that are available in the modern UI. So some of the sliders, some of the charts, some of the presentation components that are shipped with out of the box Dataverse now, they are essentially built on PCF. Somebody may ask the question, what is the difference then between PCF and HTML web resources? Well, there are lots of difference, and the core one, in my opinion, is context. HTML web resources, they run on a separate context from the Dataverse context, and PCF, for that matter, runs in the same context. So that is one huge advantage from PCF over HTML web resources. And then the other one is the fact that you can componentize your controls, and we'll talk about it in a second here. Um, so advantages. With PCF, you are exposed to lots of APIs and components from Dataverse itself, as well as other that are native to the device. So you have nonetheless support to modern web practices. It's optimized for performance. You can reuse not only the code, but also reuse the component across different environments. And you are able to bundle your controls into solution files. Okay, again, you can do that with HTML web resources, but we'll talk about a particular part of PCF that hugely affects how you componentize and how you bundle it into solution files. Okay, overview of the framework. Now, this description here, this blurb, if you will, is from Danesh Naglikar, um, and it's from his book. Um, what he says in an overview of the framework is PCF allows professional developers to use a multitude of libraries and services of their choice and add these reusable components to any model-driven or Canvas apps and now portals. The emphasis here is mine for portals, okay? I don't think PCF was available for portals when Danish wrote his book, so I put that little comment there. Now, when Danish touches here a multitude of libraries and services, essentially what we are saying is when you use PCF, you can refer to different JavaScript libraries within your PCF control. And then when you compile and you prepare that control to be deployed, the PCF CLI, and we'll talk about it shortly, will make sure that all your requirements are there for you to use. So you can use TypeScript on your framework. I think I saw an example where somebody was using React within PCF. Um, so you can use different frameworks within your component composition and still have them functional when you deploy to Dynamics. And you don't have to worry about, I have to upload a web resource for this. Oh, I'm going to use jQuery, so now I have to upload this web resource. I'm going to use this particular JavaScript library. I have to upload it to my environment and then package it later into a solution. No, if you package everything into your control, and then when you deploy it to your environment, everything's going to be packaged into your solution file. All right, and that goes for CSS references if you're using image resources for your control. Everything gets packaged into one particular deployment. Okay. So Microsoft has really facilitated development for PCF control by deploying the Microsoft PowerApps CLI. So it's a command line interface for development. In there, you can install, first of all, you need to install the CLI, and then you can add different libraries to your component when you do the installation. But it works really well. By using a few commands, I'm not sure if we're going to get this far today, but by using a few commands, you can get a shell for developing a component, which is really great. You don't have to worry about, oh, my component doesn't have a manifest, my component doesn't have the code itself, the TypeScript file itself for the code, or doesn't have this, that, and the other. The CLI will create a shell for you to start developing a component. Okay. Now, what's really cool about PCF also is it's very flexible and portable. Flexible in a sense that I can add additional components, JavaScript-based components, to my control. I can refer to those libraries if I want to use them. But not only that, I can once the component is ready to go, it's the component is abstract enough to be usable, if you will, across different environments. I'll give you an example. I can develop a text box that changes the background color depending on the input. Okay. Now that text box can be coded in such a way that we use parameters on that text box, and the parameters are not specific to a particular environment. It can be a parameter that takes values and configuration independent of the environment that it exists. You know that with a web resource, it's a different game. If you want to add abstraction, you have to really think how you implement, and a lot of times it doesn't work as intended. Okay. All right, training available. So you have the build a PowerApps component. I'm gonna click here just for us to see what it looks like. This is in the Microsoft Learn platform. So it's a very simple training. I mean, 30, 40, about 50 minutes, just an hour, if you will, to get things going. So how to create a component solution package, how to create introduction to create code component, how to install the CLI, how you create the shell. I just mentioned the shell of a component, so the commands that you use. So it's very, very simple training, okay? And it's very easy to use. When you install it and you create a component, the files that it creates, so on and so forth. The manifest file, how to use, how to add properties or parameters, if you will. And then finally, how to deploy. You can build and then you can deploy in the end. All right. So this is the shell of the code. So it's very simple training though that can be completed just under an hour, and that's gonna give you an idea of how PCF works. Okay. Now this lesson today, I'm not gonna teach you how to create a PCF control, but I'm gonna show you how to use PCF on portals. All right. So that's the goal of the training. But I didn't want to advance there without giving you an overview of what PCF looks like. So the slide deck will be available for you to go through it. If you don't have experience on PCF, this is going to give you enough information on how to get there. Again, so the first one, very in this concept of zero to hero. This is like the zero ground level training on PCF, how to get started. And then the next training suggestion is already out there. And although it's out there like hero level, it also starts at ground level and then builds up the skill for this high level development in PCF. And this is from none other than Scott Duro. I think it's under $300 the cost for this training, but it's well worth the money. And the topic here, or the focus of the training is PCF for model-driven apps. Microsoft just released GA PCF for Canvas app, I think a week or two ago. I think Scott has material on Canvas apps as well. But if I was starting, I would start here, okay? In model driven, and then work into learning more of the Canvas apps uh, stuff. We do also have a lot of training in the Power Platform community YouTube channel. There is just lots of training on PCF. We did a developers boot camp last year with a lot of the folks that you know already: Scott Duro, Ian, Thomas, Diana, the queen of PCF, and Danish as well. So there is a lot of free information there on PCF. But I would strongly advise that you look at, if you're starting today on the journey, to look at the Microsoft Learn program first, okay? Because a lot of the training that's available on the YouTube channel, they are on specific subjects within PCF development, okay? So React in PCF or other things that are more granular to PCF, not the overview. But you can search the channel and see what you can find there. I just know that there are hours of training available through the channel. Tools available. My friend Dennis Naglikar has built the PCF Builder for XRM Toolbox. So everything that you're going to see on the Learn channel has been somewhat packaged into an XRM Toolbox tool for PCF development. So again, I advise you to go to the Learn so that you understand why things are built in a specific way. And then as you get more familiar and you build more controls, you can use some of the tools to make your life easier. So PCF Builder is available as a tool within the XRM toolbox and as a Visual Studio Code extension. Now, the code extension will push you towards more of the CLI experience. So a lot of command line interaction there. If you are experienced with Visual Studio Code, I'd say use the extension. You get a little bit more control in what you do. If you're not as familiar with Visual Studio Code extensions, then use the XRM toolbox. Okay. Excuse me. Books available. There are two books. One is a paid book by Danish, extending Microsoft Power Apps with Power Apps Component Framework, which is this book over here. Okay, and I have some announcements at the end of the session today on this particular book. It is a pretty lengthy book. There is a lot of information. There is the book has been written by Danish, but has been reviewed by Herman Gaur, which is the principal program manager for PCF or Power Apps at Microsoft, and also Scott Duro. So the book is really, really, really good. I use it on a daily basis, or whenever I'm writing PCF components, I use it. The second book is a free book done by Microsoft. It's written by Shane Boyer and co-written by other folks, including April Duna. So good book too. It gives you an idea not only on PCF development, but also what Microsoft is calling fusion development, which is the merge of citizen developer practice with pro developer. So it's not only focused on PCF, although it talks about PCF a lot. It will talk about out-of-the-box components for the Power Platform, as well as Azure components that can be leveraged within the Power Platform. All right, so I think in terms of resources, that's it. Actually, no, I have one more resource that I forgot to put on my presentation. And what it is the PCF Gallery. So the PCF Gallery is a website built by Guido Prati. I don't know if you heard about Guido, but he's an MVP also, and he has contributed to the community like lots. He used to have a weekly newsletter on Dynamics Power Platform, but now he's shifting his focus to the PCF gallery. Now, in here, though, you have reference to a lot of pre-built components. So I'll give you an example. I can go to, let's see, a good one here. There is one for addresses. Let me click on, that's the idea, categories, sorry. So address. So it's gonna filter. So you have I wanna find the Bing. Okay, Bing Maps autocomplete component. This one was built by Andres Cieslik. Hope I said your last name correctly. So the component is ready to go here, and you can visit his website to know more, or you can download. A lot of the download is based on Git. So not only you can download the managed solution, a lot of times folks put the managed solution here, but you can also download the source code. And if you have an implementation that requires Bing and you want to extend it a little bit, you can take the source code, see how it's done. If the license allows you to reuse it, you can reuse the code. If it doesn't allow you to reuse the code, at least you can have reference to some code that works, and then you know how to build your own. Okay, so really good gallery. I've used it in the past a lot of times, and in fact, some of the examples that we're going to look at today are based on a component that was built, was available here on the gallery. So we'll leave the site open for us to refer to. So back to the presentation. Let's see. It was. Okay, PCF on portals. All right. So a lot of things that I will say here, I'll be very open-ended in my affirmations just to make sure that I don't get in trouble with NDA. If there are questions that will put me in a tight spot, I will say I cannot answer it at this time. But I'm not going to completely shut the door. All right. So portal supports controls built on PCF, sorta, and the support is still on preview. It's not officially out there yet, so I wouldn't yet use it on a production deployment. Although some of the components that you are allowed to use today, in my opinion, is fair game to use even in production. I don't think you're gonna have a whole lot of trouble, but things can change. So what you're hearing from me is if you must use it, I'd say go for it, with the caveat that things can change. And if it does, it most likely not changing a whole lot. All right. Prerequisites. You need to have a PowerApps license, and that goes with anything that you do in the Power Platform. Always check your license to see if you're covered. Second, you have sysadmin privilege to enable the PCF component in your environment. And then you need to have portal version 9.33 or higher, and that is the solution files in the backend. And right now, as per Microsoft documentation, I have not tested it in different portals, but Microsoft affirms that this only works with the starter portal template. So it's not working for customer service or any other of the templates yet. Okay. I haven't tested. It may be working today. I should have tested and provided a better answer. But as per documentation, this is what Microsoft is saying. All right. For portals, so what works and what doesn't as of today? As of today, components built for currency fields, datetime fields, decimal, enum, um, floating point, multiple selection, option set, even though multiple select is not really displayed in portals yet. They are confirming that it does work somehow. Option set, regular option sets, email, phone, text, text area, the multi-line, ticker, URL, two options, the Boolean and whole numbers. All those field types, all components, all PCF components built for those types will work in portals. Okay. What's not supported, and I'll put a big parenthesis, not supported yet, okay, is data set based components, are not supported as of today, and component APIs. PCF allows native the PCF development for model driven app will allow you to capture audio, capture image, video, barcode, and current position and whatnot. But those APIs are not available for portals. So, in summary, everything that works for portals will be field based, okay, and will be available on the basic form, aka entity forms. So far so good. I don't know if there are questions on the chat. um, I don't think there is anything, so we'll keep on moving forward. All right. Okay, so how to enable a PCF control on portals. So the first thing we need to do to enable PCF control on portals is enabling or creating a table permission for the web resource table. Okay, you don't have to to give edit permissions or append to just read permissions, and we're gonna walk through this step by step. And then the second step is configuring the particular component onto the form that you want to use it. Okay, so let's have a look in how we can get it done for an existing out-of-the-box PCF component. And for this example, we're going to use the same component, which is the slider. Okay? All right. So I have my environment here. I'm going to go to the portals backend. Let me make sure I'm in the right environment. So we're going to go to Portal Management app. Okay, and in here, I'm going to go to the table permissions area. Again, if you're using the latest version of portals, it will read as table permissions, if not entity permissions. But if you're not in the latest, you may not be able to use PCF on your portal. So this is what the permission looks like. I gave it a name, web resource. You select the name web resource here. I'm giving global permission just to make my life easier. If you want to use any other type of permission, just make sure that you are controlling it well. And what I mean by that is even to define the web role. I'm doing global, read, and I'm selecting authenticated users as the web roles who should have access to it. Again, if you want to make it available to the public, you need to add the anonymous user here and expose it there. So permission, that's essentially all that needs to be done for that. And then the second step is the PCF control itself. Okay, portals use the model driven. Let me step back a little bit. Basic forms in portals use the XML that is generated or created when you create a model driven app form in the Dataverse backend, right? So when you want to expose a form through portals, you create the form in Dataverse first, and then you refer to that form in the portal, okay? Now, PCF is no different. I have to go to the model-driven app form make the configuration for my PCF control before I can refer to it in portals. All right, so we're gonna go there. I'm going back to my PowerApps environment management area here, and I'm going to navigate to solutions. I have a solution file called portal customizations, and in here I'm going to navigate to the account entity. Then I'm gonna go to forms. I started playing with this information form. All right, so I want to find the field called credit limit. So this is my field, okay? And you're gonna find out pretty soon here that the the new editor doesn't provide a way for you to configure a PCF control. It goes as far as letting you select a control, but you cannot really configure the the attributes or the properties that I was referring to at the beginning of my presentation through this editor. I know that this is coming. I know that Microsoft is making a huge effort to close the gap between the differences between classic and the new modern design. So unfortunately for this experience or for this lesson, we're gonna navigate to classic. All right, so let us give it some time to load the form, and then we'll go. Let me read through the questions while it's loading. Yeah, Cheryl, the videos are not up yet. I'll check with. So Cheryl asked when the videos for the developer bootcamp will be up. I'll check with folks to see when that's gonna be out there. I think the concern they had was we had so many boot camps lined up for this summer, and they want to get folks into the mode of taking part at the live events. So that's why they're delaying publishing the videos. But we do have the videos available, but not yet published. All right, so I have my field here. I'm going to double click, and then when I go to controls, I can then select the PCF control that I want to use in the presentation layer for this form. So Microsoft ships a number of different controls, and when you do your own, after you deploy it to your environment, yours will appear here on the list. Now, cool thing about these controls is that you can decide which control you want to use depending on the media that you present your model-driven app to. You can decide that you don't want to use a slider on a phone, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna select this linear slider for all, web phone or tablet. Okay. When I do that, you'll notice that I have a set of properties that show up that I can configure. Now, when you look at PCF development, the video from Learn, you see that whatever you put on the manifest for properties is what it's what's going to show up. Now, if we were referring back to web resources, you can't really have this experience with web resources, right? You'd have to create an area on your solution where folks can configure your solution and then um, tap into the those configurations while you load your web resource. So that's not the case. This is not the case for PCF. So for PCF, properties are really native to your control, your component, which in my opinion is great. Okay. So in here, I can select the field. The field is already pre-built here. the minimum value for my control, max, and the step. So when this experience is done, I will present a slider on the form, and the slider should jump in intervals of 5 until the max. I think the max I put in is 1,000,000. So this is good to go for now. I'm going to save and publish. All right, so all I need to do for the model-driven app is done. So I'm going to, I don't think I have accounts in my model-driven app, so I'm gonna open an account record and just show how the control shows up in the particular form. And I swear I published. So let me reload. So we have the slider here now. And if I slide down, it's not taking steps of 5. So the control itself is broken, but you get the idea. The slider works to an extent, at least the presentation works. So good to go there. Now, how do I surface this on portals? So let's go to the portal. I have a portal deployed under dantas.powerapps.com. We are going to log in, and in this portal, I have created a list that shows account information and a form that displays account information. So if I click edit here, you see that my control is not yet using PCF. All right. So what I need to do for this control to have the same look and feel as the model-driven app, or at least a close enough look and feel, is I have to go back to the portal management app. Then I go to basic forms. I'm gonna click edit. Okay, I already pre-built this form. You know how to do it. You've seen it in the past. Then I go to basic form metadata. Then I need to create a metadata field, or metadata record pointing to an attribute type. So in here now, I select my field, credit, limit, and then the only thing I need to do is select the control style. The control style is going to be code component. Now I go ahead and save this. Then I go back to my portal and I'm going to refresh the cache. So that is done. Then now I click edit and I should see my control. So the slider is here now. And it has a look and feel the same as the portal, or I mean the model-driven app. Okay. So now next stage, suppose that I've developed my own component and I do want to use my own component on portals as well. Okay. So what I did is I went to the gallery. Instead of developing a component from scratch, I went to the gallery and I found a component from a fellow Brazilian who lives in Ireland called Cristiane Alencar. She created a component that, when configured properly, will change the color of the background depending on the text input. Okay. In my scenario, what I will do is I want my annual revenue to turn green if it's equals to or above a particular dollar amount, or red if it less than that particular dollar amount. Okay. So what I did is from the gallery, I went to her Git repo. Then I downloaded a managed solution for this component. Okay. And I've installed it onto my environment. Just a regular solution install. Okay. If I go back to solutions, you see PCF color field is installed. Now, starting this journey, if you're starting building your own PCF control, when you deploy it using pack commands, it will be installed as a solution file, no different than this. Maybe the difference will be that it's a unmanaged solution instead of a managed solution, which is the solution I use. But other than that, there will be no difference in how it's deployed. Okay, so with that, I can go back to my classic form, open the annual revenue field, go to controls, and then if I didn't have the control already installed, I can click add control, and my new control would be part of this list. Again, granted that the control that I built is for this specific data type, which is the case for Christiana's control, okay? So I had already added that control here. I'm gonna flag it to be used in the web and phone as well. And again, the field to highlight is revenue, which is the internal name for annual revenue. The settings are, I'm using the max value criteria to determine the way that the color should toggle. And precision of the field, I'm just considering that to be an integer. Then the max value is 500,000, minimum value is 0. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK, save, publish. Then I'm going to refresh my screen, open this account form just to show that it does work in the model-driven app. So if I change that, it becomes red. If I add a 9, it becomes green. So looks nice. Then now I'm gonna go back to portals and go back to my form. Go to basic form metadata. Click new. Again, attribute. Select annual revenue as my field. Control style code component. Save. Clear cache. Then refresh the portal, and then see what the component looks like. Now, here you're gonna find that the affirmation that PCF works the same way that in model driven that it does in portals is not quite the truth. And reason being is because I have my control now, it displays green, which is great, but if I change, my color didn't change. Okay, so the on blur event is not tracked in portals in the same fashion that it is tracked in the model-driven app. However, if I save the record and reopen, now I get the different color. Okay, so I don't know if I would yet use this type of interactive implementations of PCF in my portals, but for cool controls like the slider or any other thing that you can build on a text field, I would. It's safe to use, it's fair game, but for things like this doesn't add any functionality to your end user, and you could as well, you might as well just use plain JavaScript on your control to get things going. So for PCF, this is as much as we can go in terms of the demo of what's GA. Going back to this particular slide, unsupported code components in portals, I would think that a lot of this stuff, especially things that are native to portals such as the web API, I would think that we would start to see some of the things move from unsupported to supported at some point, all right? But for now, this is what's available today and what you can use. You saw that the setup is very simple, but after you set up your components, I would strongly advise you to test these different things. If your component is based on, user tabbing out of the field to perform an animation or things like that, PCF is not quite there yet for you. All right. So let's see what we got. I think we did the 2 demos, and that is the end of the PCF presentation itself. Okay. Um, Before we go today, I have a link that I want to put out there for you to use. Let me copy the link here for you. Let me make sure that it's, yeah. So the link works. Okay. So the link is for us to collect feedback on this session. The things you like, the things you dislike, the things that we can improve um, moving forward. And the participants of this particular survey will enter a draw for 2 printed books of Denish's PCF book. So if you want to take part on that, make sure you file on this form and you provide us information. Um, we are already planning session 3 of Zero to Hero. The goal is to do a session on Power Automate. Sorry, I wanted to do it on Dataverse, but the community voted on Power Automate, and your voice is pretty much it makes the decision. You know, you are the decision makers on this particular program, if you will. So we are doing one on Power Automate. It's going to be truly Zero to Hero. We might split into 2 sessions depending on the volume of lessons that we get from the speakers. But it is truly zero. So if you have no exposure to Power Automate, it's your time. We are gonna learn lots there, and we're gonna bring other speakers as well. I've been in contact with some other specialists in Power Automate to present, so we'll see who can commit for that. But we are looking for target date starting in September, most likely the first week of September, and then again, depending on the number of lessons, we're gonna stretch whichever number of weeks that we need to. But that's the goal. And then that's for the fall. And then on the winter, I still want to do a Zero to Hero session on Dataverse, starting from database design, how to create entities, forms, strategy on form design, views, so on and so forth, and then extending on to PCF development, pro dev development for Dataverse, for model-driven apps. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for your support, for your friendship. Thank you for the questions you posted along the way, the comments you made, and just thank you for taking part on these weekly calls. It really made a difference for me personally during this COVID time where we couldn't really see each other in person. At least we had this element of community, seeing each other and talking with one another, smiling at times. It was really great. I appreciate each and every one of you for the sacrifices you made to be here, and looking forward to the feedback that you can provide for us to get better. All right. So thank you so much. We'll
Thank
see
you,
you
Victor.
again soon. Take
Have a
care.
nice
I don't
little
see any
break.
hints. Yeah, we'll take a break. I'll be on
Encouraging.
vacation for about 3 weeks in July, but I look forward to connecting with you all again soon. I'll have access to email, phone, and etc. If you need to ask questions, refer to anything that was presented. I'll do my best to reply. I don't see any questions today. Does anybody have questions in regards to PCF?
Normally my questions come like a couple of weeks afterwards when I've worked through when I've worked through everything. So I may drop you a line.
All right, sounds good. I think I have a Manjanath has a question. Go for it, my friend.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks for giving this opportunity to talk to you. Three questions. One, which you have highlighted, right? After adding a few PowerApps PCF component to into the PowerApps portal. So I did face the same issue like in the linear control when I had, right? After changing the color code and model driven apps, it was working nice. But same component, if I try to replicate in the PowerApps portal, but it's not changing. But when we submit the data, finally it was showing after submit, and if we go and view the data, it was coming in that color. I was taken 2 days to crack that. Later I realized that on-block focus are not working on the PowerApps portal side.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I was going to try a address quick fill or autocomplete, sorry, on this. I was supposed to do that. I have a control model driven app that looks up an address. When you select it, populates, address line one, city, state, and postal code. I don't think that's gonna work either because of the on blur event or the click event. I don't know if portal if the control will be able to select the other fields and populate automatically. So I mean, it's a good effort that Microsoft is putting it out there, but I
Mm.
don't know how useful PCF will be for portals folks nowadays, especially that you can do things easily using JavaScript and the web API. So we'll see.
But thanks, Victor. That's I think I have been rewarded from this sessions. Get more insights from each portal leaders, especially from the Spider Web Portal Web API person and
Yeah, that's
last Prit Srivatsav. I think really I learned a lot. By seeing Prit Srivatsav sessions, I was more into Power Apps CLI. I did learn a lot, but thanks. And I've seen few of your blogs started gaining more insights. It's a great opportunity for me.
yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
thanks.
In the future, though, everybody or anybody who's in this call who wants to present a topic, if you're comfortable enough, I mean, it's all for us. It's not a one man show or somebody special. It's for all of us to get better, learn, and then if we can share
No,
with each other.
I'm happy to contribute on the Power Automate side because I do have like 3 to 4 experience on the Power Automate side. So
Perfect.
let's contribute from my end on the Power Automate side.
Awesome. So let's talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm
sure,
gonna
definitely.
I'm gonna take some of the learning from here and teach it out at Textilers, which is a women in tech group that I'm part of. So hopefully, hopefully I've learned enough to be able to teach some of it to other people as well.
That's very nice. That's really cool. Wow, that's good deal. Good deal. That's the vision. We help each other.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not good enough to teach this group yet because we've got all the specialists on this group.
Hey, that's the thing. We think we are not. Then we get up there and then we start teaching, and then it kind of forces us to get better, to improve a bit more. So I'd say if you have an opportunity to present, go for it. Go for it. Don't shy away.
Yeah, I will definitely be starting to do a little bit more because, it's so helpful. I can't thank you enough for how much you've taught us, right? And this, and things like, the boot camp, the developer boot camp that we had a little while ago, and then this weekend, there's another boot camp. It's just, it's incredible. It's like the quote you put on from Nelson Mandela, right? To give up your time to help other people is just phenomenal. So yeah, I've benefited from that. So I feel that it's right that I help others as well, right?
Yes, that's beautiful. Awesome. All right, folks. I gotta warm up here for another for a job call. So we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Victor.
everyone.
Thanks,
Happy
everyone.
Bye.
New
Bye bye.
Year.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.